Today, check out Cyberpunk and its low-hanging fruit. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where we've finally crossed the Rubicon.
Hey, yeah, I also got my holiday shopping done. Got a cool kitchen knife for Heather, and I got a 5-pack of water wings for my Secret Santa. I think they're going to be really surprised.
Oh, I got a subscription to a Legume of the Month club. Don't tell Kathleen. Paul, what'd you get?
I purchased a certain amount of a current video game console.
Cool. A game developer and software engineer named Ben Carter tore apart an old SNES cartridge, connected it to a field programmable gate array processor, and after a year of hard work, created the Super RT, a real-time ray tracing solution for the Super Nintendo. Now, this is not a chip that you can buy and mod into your SNES. It's just a one-off creation. It's just for fun, which is clear when you look at it. How's it work? Well, he's using 3 execution cores, each running at 50 megahertz, each one of which is several times faster than the SNES itself. And in the early 90s, that would have cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars and needed heat sinks and fans to keep it running, which goes to show that the more things change, etc., etc. Let me be clear. At some point, you're going to watch this demo Ben's created and go, so what? That's because you were born in 1997 and weren't 12 years old when you first saw Super Mario World in person and knew that this was the future of gaming. Mode 7 scaling was a big deal. Star Fox and the SuperFX chip was a big deal. And even though I've seen the future of gaming at least a dozen times since then, and I consider myself properly jaded, when he started moving the light source around in real time, I could not handle it. I popped. I popped like he just pointed at the WrestleMania sign. It was pure magic. I just kept thinking, what if? What if Star Fox had directional shadows? What if Donkey Kong Country had single bounce reflections? What if Uniracers had span-based CSG operation support? What if the Super Scope had hierarchical culling? What if I had any clue what those things even mean? The Super RT will be available for purchase never because there aren't any games that would use it, and frankly, we don't really need it. But Ben, thank you for using all of your quiet time in 2020 to make something decidedly rad.
The Super Smash Bros. Community is so awful that the people who have been trying to make it be not awful have given up. The Smash Bros. Code of Conduct panel, founded in 2018 as the Harassment Task Force, was set up with the hopes of self-policing the community amid numerous allegations ranging from physical altercations and property destruction to grooming and sexual abuse among members of the Smash community. People brought together by their common love of a game where now Kirby and Sephiroth can fight with Pokemon. Sadly, as project manager Josh Castle wrote in a statement, quote, "The reality is that at our current pace of work, we would need 5 or 10 years just to go through all the accusations and possible cases brought up this summer. And any questionable behavior in the meantime would get added to a waiting list that could be a decade long. As soon as there was an avenue for people to air their grievances, there were so many grievances that Grievance Avenue had to be barricaded to protect the sanity of the road crews trying to maintain it." That metaphor got away from me, but not as badly as some Smash players are getting away with it. Allegedly.
I didn't expect that I was going to have anything interesting to say about Cyberpunk 2077. But CDPR has made it clear that they want everyone to weigh in on their newest creation, so if you're under the age of 18, skip forward about 2 minutes because I'm about to get 10 feet deep into dildo territory. Cyberpunk 2077 is full of dildos, and not in a subtle, ooh, I can put this on my living room shelf and no one will know kind of way. Big fake dicks are just lying around everywhere, on the floor of your apartment, in the trash heap outside, rolling through the gutters of major thoroughfares, to the point that players are finding it distracting. And they aren't decorative dildos either. You can pick them up, which, by the way, don't do that. You can sell them for money, which, by the way, don't do that ever. Hell, you can use them for crafting, presumably to make double, triple, or even dodecadongers. I don't know. I haven't popped any balloons for recipes requiring dildos. The point is that having a dozen fake plastic erections keeping you company at a restaurant is on purpose. Senior Quest designer Philip Weber stated, "We wanted Night City to be pretty open sexually, where something by today's standards might be taboo or kinky is very normal and commonplace by 2077 standards." Normal how? Let's take Victoria, where I live, as an example. Very left wing, very left coast, very open about supporting sexual orientations and mores outside the two-gender construct. And in actual fact, our residents buy more sex toys per capita than any other city in Canada. And yet, I can walk down the street and not worry about tripping into a second-hand dildo pit just outside London Drugs. To justify the game's absurd amount of phallic sex toys, and isn't that a fucking tell, they would have to be the #1 selling item in the economy. You'd be walking down the street, run into a buddy. "Oh, hey there, just a second. How you been? Schlort. Oh, don't mind that. Timer ran out. I'll just throw that in the pile of other dildos and go get a fresh one from the vending machine. Can I get you one? Cold or hot?" Cyberpunk 2077 has a lot of problems. NPC dialogue is shallow, vehicles constantly collide with obstacles, and the punk aesthetic feels anything but for all the time you spend helping cops. But in a way, I think these polymer penises are perfectly appropriate, given that so much of the rest of the gameplay feels just as artificial.
I never thought this would be the lead for a CheckPoint story, but even setting aside all the dildos, it's been a rough week for CD Projekt Red and the much-hyped Cyberpunk 2077. And while we reported on its shaky launch a little bit last week, and the dildos just now, we want to make sure you're seeing the entire scope of the game that fell from its pedestal so hard and so fast that Fallout 76 fans are happy to finally have the pressure off them. That's not a joke. I went to their subreddit. Cyberpunk's technical problems are mostly centered on the console releases for Xbox and PlayStation, particularly the now last-gen consoles of the PS4 and Xbox One. The game's visual glitches, game-breaking bugs, and frequent crashes have all been well documented by this point, and according to CDPR, they all knew about it. During an illuminating conference call last week, joint CEO Marcin Nowinski said that reviewers never received console versions to review because they were still working on those versions, quote, up until the very last minute, and we thought we'd make it in time. Not giving the game's media a chance to see the state of these games was, quote, not intended. We were just fixing the game until the very last moment. And before you lambast game reviewers for giving CDPR the benefit of the doubt, so did Sony and Microsoft. But during that same call, board member Michael Nowakowski said those companies aren't to blame, adding, quote, I can only assume they trusted that we are going to fix things upon release, and that obviously did not come together as we had planned. So, whose fault was this whole mess? As many suspected, management. As CDPR joint CEO Adam Kaczynski admitted, quote, after 3 delays, we as the management board were too focused on releasing the game. Continuing, we underestimated the scale and complexity of the issues. We ignored the signals about the need for additional time. In other words, they had to get the game out before the holidays. But why let something like releasing the game stop your mishandling of it? In response to an immense backlash, CDPR made the unprecedented move of offering refunds for the game. Kind of. In one of their eye-bending black-on-yellow social media statements, CDPR said, quote, we would appreciate it if you would give us a chance, which arguably people did by buying the game in the first place, but I digress. If you are not pleased with the game on your console and don't want to wait for updates, you can opt to refund your copy. They followed with instructions to contact Sony or Microsoft directly for digital copies, or the store where you bought a physical copy. The problem was they didn't talk to Sony and Microsoft about this, and both platforms have pretty strict return policies on digital products, meaning that both customer support departments were flooded with users who, to their mind, had been told by CDPR that they could refund their game, and now being told that no, they actually can't. This is also true of retail stores who typically don't accept returns on open games. But it seems like businesses felt a little thrown under the bus by CDPR, since they were now the ones tanking gamer aggro, and Best Buy at least decided, you know what, we will accept returns on open copies of Cyberpunk because we interpret that statement to mean they're going to buy this return stock back from us. Sony took it one step further. You see, they basically don't give refunds for a game that isn't faulty, and since Cyberpunk was still being sold, it was not faulty. So they stopped selling it. You literally can't buy Cyberpunk on Sony consoles anymore. According to CDPR, they've reached this point with Sony, but it's not hard to imagine that Sony was more than a little hacked off to wake up one day and find a horde of angry gamers beating down their doors since CDPR said they could do refunds. After Sony's move, Microsoft has also made a special tweak to their return policy such that you can return Cyberpunk. This is unprecedented. Only one other game has been pulled off Sony's store for being a buggy mess, and Afro Samurai 2 was not the most hotly anticipated game of the decade. Lucky for PC players, they can enjoy the game mostly without issue. Unless they craft too many items there by increasing the size of their save game file to more than 8 megs, at which point it becomes corrupted and unrecoverable. According to a CD Projekt Red technical support ticket, this is a known issue they're working on, but once a fix is released, currently corrupted save files will not be salvageable. Oh, and at least 2 law firms are looking into class action lawsuits to represent CDPR investors. If you are one of the folks who has been looking forward to Cyberpunk for years, this must suck. And I wish these games had released without any of these hilarious but game-breaking bugs. Because if it had, we'd instead be able to talk about how it's actually kind of lifeless and unfinished. The end of the year is so close I can taste it.
What did the rest of the year taste like?
Didn't really have much of a taste, to be honest.
You know what having a lack of taste means, right?
Yes, it means Game of the Year for Last of Us 2.
Coming up, members of Parliament of the Scottish National Party want to ban the scalping of consoles and computer components by making the resale of goods purchased by an automated system, a bot, illegal. When you finally rise up, gamers, dinna forget to roll your R's. When you finally rise up, gamers. Nope, gotta do that again. When you finally rise up, gamers. We'll get there. I can't slur it. I have to pronounce it, or else the accent won't even be worth it.
When ye finally rise up,
gamers, dinna forget to roll your R's. Dongs.
I don't know why, but both times, it was not on purpose, both times doing that story, when I said Kirby, it sounded a little like Kermit when I was doing it. Kirby and Sephiroth. I'm coming for you, Mario. Can you imagine the next player reveal, Kermit the Frog?
Yeah. God, I'd love that.
At this point, anything's game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kermit the Frog lights the lights.
Holy shit, I would love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Hi-ho.
Special move, it's just like Gonzo just flies into the side.
Oh my god, the chicken cannon. Yes. Yes.
That's
Gonzo.
the final smash? Yeah.
Yeah, the final smash is Kermit just brings in Gonzo and just launches. It's beautiful.
He has like a dash thing where he goes, yay! And he runs at you real fast and smacks everybody with his hands.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, definitely like a forward dash attack or something is just Miss Piggy. Just appears and just ka-cha! Yeah, exactly. Got to have the hi-ya. We're doing a lot of great world building here. Oh, hey, we should say no checkpoint next week.
Right.
This week. No check. It's Crimsman's is coming up. But there won't be a checkpoint. We'll be back on Frantically Check's calendar Thursday the 31st.
That's New Year's Eve. We may be back on Thursday the 31st. Probably going to be back. I hope there's news.
Within that week, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless something frantic occurs.
Yes.
Yeah. Goodbye.